In Encino, California, we can see a girl who's barely 18 buying a bunch of 9mm ammo packs that matched perfectly with the bubblegums. Yeah, in California, you can buy ammo with just about any proof that you live there. The irony is, the cashier asks for her ID when she tries to grab a pack of cigarettes. Lydia, who disappeared a few years ago, ends up in a car with a group of Mexican gangsters. She hands over the ammo to them, sitting on the lap of her boyfriend, Jonah, who seems to be the leader. Their mission is to raid a house in the hills where they stashed their illegal money. Jonah pays off the tenants to keep things quiet. If something goes missing, the tenants will be in big trouble. After they arrive, Jonah and Lydia talk a little, revealing that Lydia used to live in one of these stash houses. Jonah's men suspected Lydia of stealing and wanted to take her out, but Jonah believes she's innocent. Just letting you know that this is just how things seem at first. But trust me, you gotta stick around till the end to uncover the truth. And oh, it would be great if you could smash that like button right away. Now Jonah wants Lydia to prove herself, like he did by getting her name tattooed on his chest. He gives her a gun and puts her in charge of watching the back door. Before you know it, gunfire breaks out. Lydia enters the house and finds the dad of the family dead, while Jonah's raging at the mom, threatening her life. The gang's tearing the place apart looking for cash, but they come up empty-handed. Then, Jonah decides to test Lydia once more, ordering her to kill the mom or else he'll shoot her. Feeling jittery, Lydia aims her gun, but she can't bring herself to fire. Just then, the woman starts to run away, startling Lydia, who accidentally shoots Jonah in the neck. As a result, Lydia runs away too, fleeing the scene in shock. Moving on to the next scene, we find ourselves in an AA meeting. Here, our main character John Link, Lydia's dad, introduces himself. He's a mild-mannered ex-con who's been clean for 2 years. These days, he's a solitary tattooist on parole, grappling with a daughter who's gone missing and an ex-wife who won't even speak to him. Despite it being his birthday, Link's feeling pretty hopeless about life. The only glimmer of positivity comes from his best friend and sponsor, Kirby, who occasionally lifts his spirits. As Link is busy with a client, Lydia suddenly calls him after years, skipping the small talk and getting straight to the point. She asks for $2,000 in cash so she can disappear. After a bit of back and forth, Link agrees and they set up a meeting. Link immediately starts his engine and heads over, finding Lydia looking tense on a crowded street. Although Lydia's face is inked on Link's hand, there's a noticeable lack of warmth between them. Nevertheless, Link brings his daughter to his trailer safe and sound while she's asleep, but what grabs his attention is what's in Lydia's purse: a gun and some drugs. Some time passes, and Lydia asks for the money her father promised. She reveals that she's in a tight spot as some dangerous people are after her. Sharing this also leads her to tell the story of her boyfriend's murder, carefully avoiding any implication of her involvement. In response, Link confronts his daughter about the stuff he found in her purse, asking her to stay clean for 1 week so he can give her the money. However, Lydia gets a threatening message the next day that really freaks her out. She rushes to a room with her purse and locks herself in, looking like she's about to do drugs. But Link catches her and snatches the bag to keep her from taking anything. He tells Kirby about Lydia's problem, and Kirby suggests taking Lydia to the hospital for detox. But that doesn't seem like the best idea, considering the trouble Lydia's in. Later that night, Jonah's goons show up at Link's place. Lydia scrambles to hide and anxiously starts observing them from the window. The Mexicans ask Link for some ink, but he says he's closed and tells them to get off his property or he'll call the cops. The guys turn up the heat, and Link backs off inside and locks the door. The gangsters waste no time and start blasting the trailer like mad. One of them tries to break into the trailer by smashing the window, but Link instantly stabs him in the hand. He tallies up the crimes he's committing, which could violate his parole, and starts firing back at them. The Mexicans then bring out their automatic guns and shower the trailer with loads of bullets, making Lydia and Link take cover on the floor. But the chaos doesn't stop there. Suddenly, the gangsters ram their SUV into the trailer, flipping it onto its side. Before things get worse, Kirby and the other folks from the trailer park show up with shotguns. They face off with the gangsters, but the gangsters back off when they see they're outnumbered. Link hears the cops coming, and he takes off with Lydia, even though Kirby wants them to stay and talk to the cops. He knows he messed up his parole, and his daughter is only safe with him. As they drive along the road, Link tells Lydia he recognized the thugs they saw last night by their tats. He says they were members of a dangerous mob, and he wonders how his daughter got mixed up with them. Later, during a pit stop, Lydia opens up to her dad, who's really pissed at her for hiding the truth. After Lydia left her mom's place and lived in her friend's walk-in closet for a while, she met Jonah at a party. His front job was property management, and he hooked her up with a place to live and some cash. He stashed his money there and told Lydia to keep everything normal. But one night, she had some people over at her place, and some of the cash she didn't even see disappeared. Gang members thought she took it, but Jonah protected her. Then she tells her dad everything that happened with Jonah and how she ended up killing him. They pull over at a motel to get some sleep. Lydia and the motel guy have a moment as they check in. In their room upstairs, Lydia waits until Link is snoring, then slips out to talk to the guy she felt a spark with. They're having a good time when suddenly the TV flashes Lydia's face. She's now a wanted material witness. The guy shows her the bulletin he got from the cops, but he says he didn't rat her out. He likes her and wants to help them out. Lydia calls John and tells him to get out of that room ASAP, freaking out the old man. Link swiftly grabs their stuff and runs to the front desk. Unfortunately, the cops are already there, so the clerk guy gives them a key to a different room with a back door. They manage to get to that room where they can peek from the window as the cops search through the other rooms. Lydia feels sad and scared, asking her dad how the jail is and if the bad guys can't get her there. Suddenly, a shotgun goes off which startles both John and Lydia. They see a cop fly back and fall over the railing from the second floor. Out of the room emerges a scary guy with tattoos all over his face, holding a shotgun. Realizing the danger, John and Lydia quickly make their way to a nearby car. John tries to hotwire it, but the killer sees them. He aims his shotgun at their car, but another cop shows up, and the killer shoots him instead. Seizing the opportunity, John gets the car going and dodges the killer's shots as they speed away from the motel. In the car, Link manages to identify the shooter as a professional hitman, a cartel soldier who takes out judges and cops. He asks Lydia what her boyfriend's name is, trying to find out what he's got to do with the cartel. He also tries to reach out to his buddies in jail and ask them about Jonah. Link heads to a bar to look for one of his old pals named Preacher, who Link says owes him a great deal. Lydia ignores Link's warning to stay put and follows him into the bar. The bartender won't tell them anything, so Link gives up. Lydia starts chit-chatting with the bartender and some other folks in the bar. A few minutes later, Lydia shocks Link with Preacher's address that she got from the bartender. They head to the location and find Preacher, an elderly guy who makes a living selling Nazi collectibles. Turns out he and Link served together in Vietnam. It comes out that Link took the fall for Preacher, which landed him 9 years behind bars. Now Link's back to grab his share of some serious cash, and of course his badass motorcycle. While buffing up his old bike, Link apologizes to Lydia for being locked up instead of being there for her, leaving her to deal with 3 stepdads. Later that night, Preacher has a strange conversation with Lydia in which he tells her a story about mosquitoes and enzymes. When a mosquito bites you, it releases an enzyme that other mosquitoes recognize, causing all of the mosquitoes to come after you. It implies that he knows Lydia is being pursued by both police and criminals. The next morning, Preacher's wife, Charisse, startles John and Lydia with a sawed-off shotgun pointed their way. She escorts them to a shed where Preacher does his thing. Despite Link's past sacrifices for the guy, Preacher plans to hand Lydia over to the authorities for a $30,000 bounty. When Link catches wind of this, he becomes enraged. He punches Charisse, snatches her gun, and flips the script. Even though he's really mad, Link chooses not to kill the old man. Instead, he grabs the motorcycle keys and some weapons, hops on his bike, and takes off with Lydia. While riding down the road, 2 bikers sent by Preacher suddenly show up, aiming to take them out. Link slams on the brakes, pulls out the double barrel, and takes out one of the attackers while the other biker speeds by. Without skipping a beat, John and Lydia chase after him. John fires at the biker, but misses his mark. Desperate to dodge the shots, the biker crashes into a truck head-on. Their next stop for them is another motel, giving Link a chance to tidy up with a shave. Later on, Lydia discovers more threatening messages flooding her inbox. Feeling overwhelmed, she confides in her father about taking her own life, believing it would benefit everyone. She recalls her past attempts at age 12 with pills and age 10 with hanging, and Link shares his own failed suicide attempts in return, including jumping into a valley and wrist-slitting in prison. He reassures her that deep down, she doesn't truly want to end her life. Otherwise, all their efforts to evade danger would be futile. These heart-to-heart conversations serve as therapy for Lydia, providing a ray of hope in the midst of despair. Later, as Lydia works on dyeing her hair blonde, Link lets her know he's got to step out to see someone. He emphasizes for her to ring him up if anything goes south and gives her Kirby's contact information as a backup. Link then heads to the prison to catch up with his old friend Arturo, but before he can meet up, they take away his phone and stuff. Once face-to-face, Arturo spills the beans about Jonah. It turns out that Jonah is the disgraceful nephew of the cartel boss, El Padrino, and that he was the one who stole money from the stash houses and killed the tenants for it, putting on a show for the cartel to prove it was not him. Lydia was nothing but an easy target for him. The cash swiped by Jonah was so massive that the cartel had to dispatch their top-notch hitman to handle the situation, the one with the face tattoos from earlier. Back at the motel, Lydia starts freaking out as his dad is late and tries to reach him, but he's without his cell phone. Then, Kirby gives her a call, warning that she needs to head to a public spot for safety. Lydia follows the advice and heads to the movies. While there, she gets a ring, and she's shocked to hear Jonah's voice on the other end. Turns out, despite taking a bullet to the neck, he's somehow still alive. Jonah tells her that he had to go through some major surgery in underground hospitals to make it through. As Lydia is trying to process this bombshell, Jonah pops up behind her out of nowhere. Panicked, she bolts for the parking lot, only to get knocked out cold by the cartel guy. Next thing we know, they throw her in the back seat and escape. John tries to reach Lydia on his phone, but she doesn't answer, so he dials Kirby's number instead. A voice answers the call that he doesn't recognize. It's Jonah who reveals he's taken Kirby, just like Lydia. Jonah lets Kirby speak briefly, but Kirby, clearly beaten up, apologizes to Link before his voice being cut off by gunfire. Enraged, Link tells Jonah that he has just killed his best friend. Jonah tells Link that he shouldn't have picked a snitch as a friend. Apparently, they were able to get Kirby to talk by getting him drunk. In that moment, Link makes it clear that he knows everything about Jonah, and he will tell his uncle how he's been stealing all of the money for himself unless he gets to see Lydia once more. Eventually, Link and Jonah agree to meet up. Link returns to Preacher's place, where he grabs some grenades and a landmine. Preacher appears and tells John that he has some guts coming back. This time, Link does what he was supposed to do before and shoots him without blinking. Arriving at the meeting spot in the desert, Link cleverly parks his motorcycle in front of Jonah's SUV, blocking any escape route. Then he cleverly rigs the landmine against his bike so that if it's tampered with, the landmine goes off. Jonah's crew disarms John and puts him in the back of the SUV next to Lydia. Their plan is to relocate Link and his daughter to ensure they're not being followed, then eliminate Link. However, as they attempt to drive away, the motorcycle blocks their path. Jonah orders his men to move that bike, not realizing it's going to be a deadly mistake. Two of them trigger the landmine and bite the dust. With the chaos, Link takes on Jonah and another thug in the SUV. As they tangle, Jonah jumps out of the car after Link takes a chunk out of his goon's ear. Link wrestles for the gun, managing to shoot Jonah in the shoulder in the process. He grabs the gun and shoots the thug who killed Kirby in the head. Jonah, wounded but not out, fires at John, who cleverly uses the dead thug as a shield and fires back. Jonah then runs off into the desert. Link rips the tape off Lydia's hands and jumps out of the SUV, only to take a surprise bullet to the leg from the cartel hitman. Quickly, Link and Lydia take cover behind Jonah's SUV. Link tells Lydia to run while he shoots back, but she's determined not to leave him. As a result, they both make a run to another car. As they're running, John shoots back at the assassin, hitting him, but the assassin takes another shot at him. Link gets hit in the stomach and falls down. Quick thinking, Lydia jumps into the car and drives it to John, shielding him from the assassin's bullets. She rushes to Link and he holds her in his arms. In that moment, Link spots the assassin closing in from under the car. The cartel hitman tries to sneak up on them, but when he reaches where John and Lydia were supposed to be, they're gone. He spots Link by the car, and Link swiftly ends the threat with a fatal shot to the assassin's head. But not before the assassin hits Link in the chest once more. Link screams out of pain and satisfaction that he has defeated the assassin. Seeing blood seeping from his chest, he hands her daughter a keepsake that isn't even his, a gun, the only thing he has to give. It doesn't take long for Lydia to watch her father die in her arms, tears flowing down her cheeks. Shortly afterward, the wail of police sirens fills the air as they arrive and arrest Jonah. As Jonah's led away to prison, Arturo and his gang approach him. It's evident he won't receive a warm welcome, and the threat of danger looms over him, foreshadowing a grim future behind bars. A year later, in an NA meeting, we now see Lydia stepping into her father's shoes. He's been clean for a year, opening up about the guilt he feels over his father's passing and how much he misses him. Yet he wraps up his talk by thanking him and sharing, "When you owe your life to someone, you better live it."